Okay, so it was a pretty uneventful first turn for the Russians. Now it's time to do some counter fire or counter moving on the Germans' behalf. I'm actually going to check range on this prior to moving. In Flames of War, you can check range at any time, so I'm actually going to see if I can range in on those T-34s without moving. Everything does count as moving in the first turn, so I'm still going to get the -1 penalty, but I'm going to see if I can stay there and engage them. I like to keep them at long range. Pack 40s are going to check the same. Again, I cannot fire artillery in the first round because they have count as movement, but I am going to attempt to dig those in. I'm going to advance the Panzer Grenadiers up this road, and I'm going to also advance the rest of those into the town. And I'm going to sort of displace this a little bit because I'm afraid when the KDs can start to fire that I'm a little bit clustered right here. As well, I'm going to advance the MGs and get the observer into position. So I'm just going to set this down and I'll do a bit of the moving. Okay, so I'm going to tape measure. Alright, so checking range first. I am in range. They are concealed shots. He's out of range. He's out of range. So I'm actually going to have to advance these guys a little bit. So I'm going to move him up I'm going to go up to full 12 for him to get him in range. I'm going to move him over. It's going to be concealed shots because they're in the woods. I'm going to have one not concealed shot. That's it. I'm going to zip around the windmill here. I'm going to advance these guys. Again, I have to stay in coherency. So for the Germans, it's going to be 8 inches with the tanks because of their fearless vet status. For the Russians, they have to stay within 6 inches. Pack 40's got a shot as long as he can see over this mound, which he can't. So in Flames of War, you got to take into account the contours as well. So although it looks like he can take a shot, this is actually humped up, so we actually cannot see over that right now. This guy's at the crest, so he can shoot. I'm going to advance the infantry first. Now, because they're in hedgerow country, they actually have to be against the hedgerows in order to move over. If they come up to a hedgerow, they actually have to stop and then move over the following turn. So because I started them all against it, they're safe. Wheeled vehicles on the road can actually go 16 inches. So these trucks can really motor if they're on a nice road. If they're not on a road, they are hindered a lot by movement. So they're going to wheel up. I'm going to keep my guys inside the vehicle for now. I'm just going to switch angles here so you can see what's going on with the Panzer IV. So we already know that one is in range of the T-34, and that's it. So I'm actually going to advance up the Jagd Panthers slightly, get them in range, because I like to shoot at the T-34s prior to them shooting at me. Go advance everyone up. Now this is not really doing a great service to myself if I'm unable to stormtrooper. Now I'm keeping a 1-inch gap in between all of the tanks so that I can make that shot. I have a 1-inch gap. That's necessary, otherwise you cannot shoot. I'm going to advance this infantry 6 inches into this open area. Hopefully they'll get in there unscathed. And I'm going to advance the observer up to the edge of the building. And then next turn he'll be able to move into the building itself. So let's just check some ranges here. I'm going to measure from the back guy. So the back guy's out of range. They have a 32-inch range, is the same as the T-34s. He's out of range. I do have 1, 2, 3. A concealed shot here is 4, and there is 5. So I actually have 5 guys in range. I'm going to go ahead and roll up the dice for myself. So I'm looking for, I have 3 guys. They're going to look for, I need 3s to hit them normally, and because it's long range, it's going to be 4s. So that's pretty good rolling. There's a 5, a 4, and a 6. So those are actually all hits. I have an anti-tank 11 against a front armor of 7, but because it's long range, they actually add 1 to their front armor. So it actually goes up to 8, I believe. I'm just going to confirm that really quickly, and this will give me a good chance to actually show you in the books. what kind of stats are in there. So here's the stat book there. Every bit of the arsenal is there. So I'm just looking. T-34-85. I go over. It's a front armor of 7, and because it's a long range, it is a front armor 8. So it's anti-tank 11 against front armor 8. He's looking to roll saves, looking for 4s or better. So go ahead and roll those up. You're looking for 4s or better? Yep. Okay, so this one's definitely a save. This one's a save. Now, this one here is a 2. So that means I penetrated your armor, and I'm going to roll a firepower. If I roll a firepower, you are destroyed. If I roll, if I fail to make a firepower, it's actually just going to be a bailed out tank. So I'm looking for 3+ on the firepower, and it's a 2. So lucky, the tank is not destroyed, but you do need to put a bailed out marker. Pardon me, bailed out, and that goes on the T-34 here. So he's not operational right now until he gets back in, but he does have a chance to get back in. So I'm just going to go over here and do the next bit of shooting. Let's check the T-34 or the Panzer IVs and the T-34s. We're going to check the range. 32-inch range. He's definitely in range. Definitely in range. In range and in range. So that's 4. That's 4 guys. They're all concealed, with the exception of 1. So I'm going to roll 3 separate and then 1 on its own. So they're all in range. So needing 3s, but because they're long range, it's 4. Same story as before. It's a 6, a 5, and a 3. So the 3's no good. So 2 are hit, and then I'm going to roll the 1 in the open. He only needs 3. Yes. My mistake. These actually needed to be 5s because it's concealed and long range. So they are both still fine. This guy needs the 4, and he makes it as well. So that's 3 on them. Again, firepowers, but the anti-tank of the Panthers is actually anti-tank 14. So the front armor of 8. What you do is you take the anti-tank, subtract the front armor, and then that's what you're looking on the dice roll. So if you do the math quickly on that one, they need 6s just to tie. So otherwise it's firepowers destroyed. So let's roll these up. We're looking for 3 6s. The very best you can do. You got a 5, a 5, and a 1. So that is actually not good. I'm going to roll 3 firepowers to destroy, looking for 3+. That's 1, 2 destroyed, and 1 bailed. So typically what you do, you can do this however you like, but we use some cotton balls to represent destroyed tanks. So they have 2 destroyed and 1 bailed. So I'm just going to go ahead and place the cotton on the closest ones. So that's a destroyed. And we'll make this one here a flaming wreck as well. And then we need a bailed out marker for the other one, thank you. And this guy's bailed out. So now we have to make sure we don't go below half strength on the platoon. Now they have 1, 2, 3 operational. They have 4 operational, 5 operational, because they have the HQ in here as well. So we're looking at, in this platoon, it's 3, 4 operational, 2 destroyed, and the bailed out doesn't count for or against. So right now they're fine. They got a unit strength of 4 and only 2 down, so they are perfectly fine. Now, they're perfectly fine until possibly I roll these Pack 40s. So Pack 40, we already discerned that 1 cannot see, but 1 can. His range is also 32, and I believe it's well within range of the first one. They were well under, so let's make the shots. It's going to be concealed and long range, so he's also going to need 5s. Now he only gets 1 shot. Actually, he gets 1 shot as well, because he counts as moving. Everybody counts as moving. So it's a 1. It's a miss, so it's a mute point, so nothing happens there. And just to end off the German turn, they're going to do what they have a special rule called Stormtrooper. And basically what that is, they get an additional 4-inch movement if they make a skill check. I'm not going to move any of those guys. Really, the only guys I want to advance are, I'm going to move my Panzer IVs ahead another 4 inches, attempt to. So I'm looking for a roll of 3+. Nope, they don't make it, so they can't. And the only other guys I want to advance are the trucks. So let me try again. And they roll a 1. So very unsuccessful Stormtrooper. That ends turn 1, and we'll see what the Russians do in turn 2.